Hello, 5 Great Decision class. Thanks for being here this week. I'd like to talk about where some of you might find yourself right now. Perhaps the newness and the novelty of 5 Great Decisions is starting to fade off. Maybe you're getting a little bored with the idea of it. And maybe you've stopped recording your decisions in your 5 Great Decision app for a few days or a week. And at that point, you're thinking, why bother? Perhaps this practice is starting to feel like every other self-improvement tactic that you've tried. You get excited in the beginning, such as losing 10 pounds the first month on Weight Watchers will do, and then it starts to feel like work. That initial spark has faded, and 5 Great Decisions feels like just another discipline-powered practice, rather than something that really flows naturally through your day with gentle reminders and sparks of opportunity to give a gift to your future self. I feel for you. I've felt the same way. In fact, I had moments in this past week when I felt that way, which is why I decided to address this question, this state of mind. The thing is, even on those days when I was feeling that way, I still was sure there was something special about 5 Great Decisions, that there's something fundamentally different about this than any other discipline or system that I've used before or encountered. I know that this is a practice that I want to just become part of my lifestyle. And I know that even on days when I don't feel like practicing, it's too good to give up. So how do we return to that first love? How do we rekindle that spark behind our 5 Great Decision practice? And how do we practice even when we don't feel like it? These are the questions I've been thinking about deeply this week. And I've come up with 5 ways to reignite your 5 Great Decision practice. So let's dive into those. Number 1 is, the very moment when 5 Great Decisions begins to feel like work is probably when we've already stopped doing it consistently. We're thinking about it, and we might even be feeling guilty about it. And we're wrestling with the idea of it, but we're not actually doing it. So if you've hit a point where you think this is too hard, you might actually be experiencing the difficulty of not practicing rather than the difficulty of practicing. The solution isn't to push through that resistance. Resistance is too strong. It's simply to step back into the practice where it becomes manageable again. It sounds too simple, but it truly is as simple as picking up those tokens and putting them in your pocket, looking for opportunities throughout the day. Just step back into it. Number 2 is maybe you're experiencing decision fatigue when consciously focused in on 5 Great Decisions. Maybe, throughout the day, this awareness, which it does create, maybe you're just getting a little tired of being so aware. And if that is your case, then I say just lighten up. Tell yourself that you're not even going to think about 5 Great Decisions today. What will be interesting is you probably will still notice an opportunity to make one, and you might even choose to make the most of it. But this idea of lightening up, there's not a right or wrong way to do it. So maybe practicing 5 Great Decisions 5 days a week is better for you, or whatever number might work. The fact is, there isn't a way to do it right. I had a member of the cohort send me an email at one point saying, I don't think I'm doing this right. And then she went on to explain kind of what she's doing, but the impact it's having, the changes in her behavior. And I wrote back and I'm like, you're doing this exactly right. You have just loosened your grip on it. And so for you, if this is beginning to feel like I'm just tired of making decisions, just loosen the grip and let them come to you. That's the thing I have found when our values are kind of right on the surface there, is great decisions have a way of finding you. Number 3 is 5 Great Decisions really isn't about making yourself do hard things. It's about creating the conditions where the right things feel just natural and energizing. So this is why we start with identifying your reason for practicing 5 great decisions. This is what ignites that spark and shines a light on opportunities for choices that align with your future self. So when you think deeply and understand your why, decisions stop being about weighing the pros and cons, and it's really about being in alignment. If the practice creates these sparks and clarity, but stopping the practice makes it feel too hard to jump back on, then it's really helpful if we understand what are the conditions that support our practice. And I've come up with 3 in particular. One is a mindset condition. So when we think of decisions as tokens to spend and invest rather than burdens to carry, that makes a big difference. Again, it's not getting up in the morning as I have to make 5 great decisions today. It's getting up and say, I wonder where opportunities to invest my decisions today will show up. Discipline versus discovery. So having this companion mentality that 5 great decisions is with you will really get you, provide that environment in which you're looking for them, aware of them, and they'll naturally appear. Another area is emotional. So that sense of alignment with your values is really key here. It's also why we have that why statement so clear. So when an opportunity comes, it's an emotional response that connects you to your values. When you have an opportunity to make that decision, you know you're stepping into that person that you want to be. But speaking of emotional conditions, I think it's important also to note that when we go through a day or a season where emotionally we're feeling challenged, perhaps the best decision you can make is to give yourself grace, to just take time off. And maybe that is the only decision that you record in your app. I'm meeting myself where I'm at today. And then a third one is social conditions. So does sharing the practice with others or having people who understand it make it easier to maintain? I know it does for me. This past week, my son Stephen was home and he is practicing 5 great decisions. So we talk about it when we're together. We share ways that it's impacting our lives, and sometimes we'll even say, oh, that was a great decision. It's like this shared language, and it provides that company, that sense of belonging to a group here of people who are making a difference in their lives. So what kind of social conditions will contribute to enhance your participation in this practice? Number 4 is turn off autopilot and input your future self and vision into your GPS system. Let me explain that one. So sometimes I tell myself I need a day off from 5 great decisions. I want to just go about my day, make whatever choices I want, not think about consequences, just relax. And maybe it feels necessary in the moment. Maybe it is necessary for that day. But here's what I've learned. At the end of those days, I need to pause and ask, how do I actually feel? Was the day easier, more comfortable, and more rewarding or satisfying? Because when I start the day thinking I want a break from 5 great decisions, usually I'm thinking like all these things are going to be better now. But honestly, the answer is usually no. In fact, those autopilot days often feel worse. I've missed opportunities to experience alignment, to feel proud of my choices, to create a better day, both for today and for my future. You see, our autopilot is generally lazy. It seeks the path of least resistance and favors status quo. Autopilot doesn't ask, what matters to me? It asks, what's easiest right now? And in many cases, actually, maybe most cases, autopilot isn't our friend. It's not leading us toward the life we want to build or even toward a more satisfying day. It's just keeping us comfortable, keeping us stuck, and keeping us from the very experiences that would make us feel most alive. So 5 great decision practice interrupts autopilot. It's those small moments, that pause when we stop and ask a different question or make a different choice, and at the end of the day, feel genuinely better about how we spent our time and energy. So plug 5 great decisions into your GPS system. And then number 5, this is kind of interesting. You don't have to decide if you practice 5 great decisions or not. This practice is unique in that it's not like a light switch. It's on or it's off. It's actually more like a pilot light. A pilot light, think on your gas stove or fireplace. It's always there ready when you are ready to turn up the heat. This isn't all or nothing thinking or practice, and that's one reason that it is so effective. Some days you might make 5 intentional choices, and other days maybe just 1. But each of these matters because they keep you connected to the practice. This isn't about perfect execution. It's about developing a way of living that keeps your future in view. Notice that I call this a practice. We keep working at it. And mastery isn't the goal. I don't even know if it's possible. The future, this isn't about doing it perfectly or earning an A. It's about growth and intentional living that aligns with our values and our goals. And it's about shaping who we are and the future that we're designing. And here's one more thing, even more powerful. Even one great decision reconnects you to that vision. Even one choice made with intention reminds you that your future self is still there, still worth honoring. The practice doesn't break when you miss a day or a week. It's simply waiting for you to return. In this week's email, I discussed 2 more aspects of your future self. One is the idea of this future self perspective. And while it's important, sometimes it can feel like we are just perpetually deferring happiness, always living for tomorrow instead of today. I constantly refer to future self, but I don't want to do that at the chance of you thinking that today doesn't matter. You'll learn how great decisions in our content this week aren't just investments in your future, they're also contributions to better living right now. And another thing I address is a question that comes up when thinking about your future self is, what if I already love my life? Do I still need 5 great decisions? Do I need to think about my future self? So there's some rich content about that and something I call a stewardship mindset. When you think about it, a steward doesn't own something. They're responsible for preserving and nurturing it. So that's what our 5 great decisions practice does. It helps us protect what matters most in our lives. So if you have strayed from the 5 great decision practice, I hope you'll try one of the 5 ways to rekindle that spark. And from the lessons in our email, use those to create greater awareness and appreciation for what's great about your life right now. Next week, I'm going to be giving you a final project to work on. When you think of this as a class, I thought it would be fun to have us do something where it kind of brings it all together like a capstone as we then take our 5 great decisions into the world. So thank you for being here. Have a great week and make some great decisions.